I picked up this book, I Dare You, at a secondhand shop, you know, where I always shop. And it was laying on top of a bin full of books that you could fill a bag for $5. This was the only book I wanted because I was interested in hearing what John Danforth had to say. I think there's more than one. I believe this is the grandfather. It is the grandfather. And he was talking about how he grew up in an area, didn't name specifically, but I guess it was around Missouri. He grew up in an area, he was frail, he was malnourished probably, you know, educated according to the area where he was, and he stayed sickly. And so when he went to high school, he was in the country somewhere. When he went to high school, he went to a city. And from the sound of it, everyone in the city was in better shape than he was. Probably more affluent, healthier, stronger. And the way he told that he was frail and he probably had malaria or something from the diseases in the swamp. So anyway, he was in school, and one of the teachers that was known to be kind of flamboyant and a real open-minded thinker singled him out and told him, he said, I dare you to become the strongest, smartest, healthiest, more self-assured boy in this class. And he said, I dare you to eat well, I dare you to exercise, I dare you to get self-confidence, I dare you all the things that he needed. And so he took him up on that challenge, and he never named the amount of time that it took him, but he became the things that he would dare to be. Well, at that same time that I had found this book, I had taken that same challenge upon myself. I dared myself to stop using my friend Mr. Stick. I dared myself to eat better, to exercise more, and to do the things I felt I needed to do to make myself better. Because I didn't feel like I was getting the kind of support I needed in the medical community. They didn't understand that I wanted to go natural and handle, you know, more of my self-care. So anyway, I was doing all the things I felt I needed to do. I was exercising like I was going to the Olympics or something. I was eating right. I was doing all the healthy, natural things I could do. I was studying herbs. I was taking vitamins, 14-hour intermittent fasting. As far as I was concerned, I was doing it all, and if anybody was going to get well, that was going to be me. So during that time, I had an early morning assignment to do something. I don't know what it was. But after I got finished, I went and I decided I would eat breakfast. And I had actually, at that period in time, started kind of moving around without my stick. I could go places and walk short distances without it. And so I decided to go into the restaurant, eat breakfast, and sit around for a while and then go home. So before I got into the restaurant, I noticed a man and a boy going into the restaurant in front of me. So I got out and I said, I'm going to leave the stick in here. I'm going to walk in a straight line into that building. I'm going to eat my breakfast, and then I'm going to come out in a straight line and go home. Well, I went in just like I said I was going to do. I walked in a straight line right in there, ate my breakfast, sat around for a while, and I got up to come out, and my legs would not work. They simply would not work. So I had to hold on to the back of the bench, each bench, and head out of there. Well, that got me out, you know, holding on to the walls and the benches. But I had 20 or 30 feet between where I was at the door and getting to that car. So I started off walking, and I was staggering awfully. I wasn't going to fall, I knew that, but the gait was not steady at all. So there I went, reeling and rocking and reeling, getting to my car. And I finally got to it, and I kind of had to lean up against the door and open the car, unlock it. And I got in and I sat down and I started locking my seatbelt. Well, the man in the bar who had gone in ahead of me came out, and the little boy went and got in their car or truck. And the man came staggering out, rocking and reeling, walked up to my passenger door, put his face on there and gave me this dilly look, and put his hands on the glass and slid down to the ground. What he was doing was imitating me. It didn't take me long to figure it out. There this guy goes down, and I'm like, so I was trying to get the door open or the window down and tell him, look, I'm not drunk, I'm just, off balance a little bit. But I couldn't do that before he jumped in the truck and driven off. So I went home and I was thinking to myself, I've practically exercised and done everything I can think to do. And it's pretty obvious that, for some reason it's not working. So for some reason at that point in time, and I wasn't discouraged, I didn't feel angry, I didn't feel hopeless, any of that. I was actually quite content, but I stayed at home. I stayed at home for 2 months. I would go out for short distances, but the social life and all that other stuff I used to do, I didn't do it. And I still continued to exercise, eat a healthy diet, the types of things I had been doing, but not as strenuously as I had been doing. So anyway, like I said, I stayed at home. I would walk around the house without a cane. I could do that. I could still do short distances without a cane. Well, a friend called me, and she asked me to go to the theater with her. And I was thinking, it's too much effort. I just really don't feel like doing it. So she kept asking me, and so I finally said, listen, how many stairs are there? And she, well, I don't know, but there are some stairs. I said, well, how long a walk is it? Well, it's a little bit of walking. Well, is it hard to park there? Well, there's parking space. Well, is there a restroom and a water fountain there that I can get to? Are the chairs comfortable? And everything I asked her, she had an affirmative for it. So I said, well, okay, since it's going to be easier, I'll just go ahead and go. Now, see, if it had been me and somebody was talking to me like that, hey, you stay at home. But I got up and I went with her. And like she said, it wasn't that hard to navigate. It just wears me out, and it was tiring. So we went into the theater, and they had an assortment of singers and dancers and bands and all of that, and some were good and some not so good. But the last lady really had a voice, and she had her own little band, and she was just really going at it up there on that stage. Well, I was in my chair, and I was, oh, goodness, this is good. Finally, I said to myself, I dare you to go down there and dance. And I said, before I knew it, I was up running down that aisle to the dance floor. And before I knew it, I was dancing. Now, I couldn't walk, didn't want to do the stairs or any of that, but man, that music was good. And I was like the folks back there dancing, and I hadn't seen dance before. So anyway, I still had my stick now. I was smart enough to know that I had to have Mr. Stick, just in case, So I was dancing out there with Mr. Stick, just really, we were going at it. Well, she was the last singer, and so we headed, my friend and I, the girl that took me, headed back up the steps, and 2 women followed me. And one just kept saying, you are such an inspiration. Oh, you're just such a marvelous inspiration. And I was trying to figure out what inspired her, the gray hair or the stick, But anyway, you know, and she followed me. They actually followed us out to the door, you know. Okay, you know, thank you and all of that. So then my friend suggested that we go to my granddaughter's workplace. She's a bartender at a hotel. And surprised her because she had just gotten a job. So I said, well, okay, we may as well make a night of it. So we drove over there, surprised her, ate a little bit of something, sat down. And the disc jockey had just changed with another disc jockey who was much better. And he was playing all the music I thought I would like. And so I was sitting there in my chair again, you know, rocking, having a good time. And I said, boy, I would really like to dance. And I spoke to my friend about it, and then I said, she said, well, go ahead. And I said, no, I don't think so, because I don't want to get up there and fall. And I don't want to do anything to embarrass my granddaughter. And so I just kind of hesitated. And then I thought about it. I said, you know, I'll go and ask her what she thinks. So I went up, and I went up to her, and I said, what do you think? Should I go down there and dance? And she said, she looked me straight in the face. And that was the time she could have said, Grandmama, don't do that. You will embarrass me, or you might fall. She looked me straight in the face, and she said, Grandmama, I dare you to go down there. To go dance. Boy, what she said that for. And then she said, I grabbed Mr. Stick and took off. I went running down there like John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever. And I mean, I was on my way down there, and by the time I got down there, the music got even better. I lifted Mr. Stick and twirled him around, laid him down, pulled him over here.
Oh my goodness.
I danced like that, and I wasn't embarrassed because there wasn't anybody there. Right. You know, it was just one couple on the floor, the disc jockey, my granddaughter, and another person behind the bar, and the manager. So I was dancing my heart out. I was in a world all to myself, having a good time. And when I looked up, the girl who was dancing with the young man had gone over and stood by the disc jockey. And the gentleman was dancing with me. I didn't know he was dancing with me. I guess they thought I needed a companion, but I had Mr. Stick as long as you know. So anyway, oh, okay. Well, anyway, you know, I was different, and we were dancing and carrying on and having a really good time. And it occurred to me that if I could dance like this, which wasn't good, but I was dancing, but if I could dance like this, I could walk anywhere, just have Mr. Stick as a companion.
Sure.
And why I had actually let go of the desire to have much fun. And this idea of daring myself rekindled that flame. And I was on fire that night. You know, and so after I finished dancing like I wanted to, I got up to leave, I and my friend, and we walked out to the car, but the manager came too. And I was thinking at first that my granddaughter might have gotten in trouble. She came with us. And he came over to me in the car and he said, listen, come back anytime you want, especially if the disc jockey is here. And you can have anything you want to eat or drink.
Oh.
Just bring that energy with you.
Wow.
And I have not been back under those circumstances. I have been back otherwise. And I've had my wild little dance, you know. But that was always the way that I found courage, strength, or anything else. I don't have to dance good. I just have to dance. I don't have to sing good. I just have to sing. I wouldn't put you through hearing me sing. But it's just the way I free myself. And when I was in my women's circle, we danced like that, you know. We shouted, we screamed, we did whatever we needed to do to free ourselves. And I still feel that freedom. But I find that when I start going downhill, if there's a song that will say what I needed to say by a vocalist I need to hear with a musical score that intrigues me, then I can pull myself back up. And I had forgotten that for those 2 months because I was denying myself the pure joy that I can get from just doing kind of exotic things. So I just want you to know there's this statement about Foursquare, and I forgot to mention that, but in his book he mentions Foursquare and living to the fullest, 100% of whatever you can give, spiritually, mentally, physically, you know, socially. And I had stopped the socially. So I've rekindled that too. So basically what I'm saying to you is what everybody else has been saying. Live to the fullest.
Yes.
Foursquare, 100% of what you can do. And 100% isn't always what it looks like on Monday that it looked like on Friday. 100% might be 30% of what you did Friday. But if that's the best you can do that. So I think that's the end of my little talk.